This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for Friday, April 25th, 2025. I'm Marek Mazurek. Last week, 22 McCutcheon High School students boarded a plane to Texas and returned home as world champions. Maverick Robotics was one of 12 Indiana high school teams that qualified to compete in the first Robotics World Championship. Maverick hails from the Lafayette area, and it's the first Indiana team to bring home the win in 21 years. At the first competition, students build, program, and drive a robot which must complete specific tasks during a match. More than 600 teams from around the world competed at the event, which ended with a best out of 3 finals competition. Maverick's drive team coach Charlie Baxter said the team lost the first match but won the second and third.
My whole drive team got together. We got in a little huddle and got in a position we could watch the screen come up, and it was a really special experience. I've never been through. I'm 35 years old. I've never been through anything like that in my life before. Have confetti cannons go off and everybody's just screaming, and it was really, really cool.
Baxter is also an engineer at Cook Medical and said students who compete in robotics are in high demand once they enter the workforce. For more on McCutcheon High School's win, head to iib.com. Just weeks after completing the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum's first major renovation in 40 years, the museum's president has announced plans to step down. Joe Hale, who stepped into the role in January of 2021, said Friday that he will leave the museum on June 20th. The news comes one day after the museum announced it has acquired 14 race cars from Chip Ganassi Racing, including 5 Indianapolis 500 winners. During his tenure, Hale led the museum through a $69 million capital campaign, which fueled a nearly $61 million renovation project, which he called a complete reimagining of the museum into a more immersive, interactive, and educational attraction. The project took 17 months to complete and added 40,000 square feet of space to showcase more of the over 55,000 artifacts in the museum's collection. The museum said in a news release that Hale also played a key role in establishing a $100 million endowment to ensure the museum's sustainability for years to come. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
To succeed, you need to stay informed. You need to be engaged. And let's face it, you need to set yourself apart from the rest by connecting with a company that brings you the best. Because in today's environment, business is an ever-moving target, and we'll help you chase it. IBJ Media. The best of business is in us. Get started at ibjmedia.com/youngprofessional.
A consortium of public television and radio stations in Indiana will seek alternative sources of revenue after late changes in the new state budget removed $7.3 million earmarked to support the stations during the next 2 fiscal years, according to the executive director of Indiana Public Broadcasting Stations, Inc. Mark Newman said his nonprofit, which distributes appropriations from the state's budget to 17 radio and television stations that are affiliates of PBS and NPR, didn't expect all of its state funding to be cut in the version of the proposed budget that emerged Wednesday. The language passed by Republican supermajorities received no public comment and echoes attacks on public media at the national level by the Trump administration. Newman said the lack of state funding won't affect all public television and radio stations equally. WFYI Public Media in Indianapolis is the largest public station in Indiana and has television and radio operations. It's been receiving about $590,000 a year, or nearly 5% of its annual operating budget. Other stations, however, are more reliant on state funding. In the middle of the battle between the U.S. Department of Education and some of the nation's most prominent universities stands a conservative Indianapolis attorney who is determined to root out what he claims is a rash of anti-Semitism on campuses. Tom Wheeler II is the acting general counsel at an agency that President Donald Trump is actively working to dismantle. But in the meantime, Wheeler is seeking to make the most of what he acknowledges is a temporary gig. On leave from Bose McKinsey & Evans, LLP, Wheeler is part of the Trump administration's Interagency Task Force to Combat Anti-Semitism, a group the Justice Department said in February was created to stop the harassment of Jewish students in schools and on college campuses. Its initial targets have been universities where massive pro-Palestinian protests have led to concerns about Jewish students' ability to safely attend classes, and where, in the view of many Republicans, the school's administrations didn't go far enough to shut down anti-Semitic behavior. It's an issue that Wheeler is passionate about. His best childhood friend was Jewish, and the two spend most of their time at the Jewish Community Center in Indianapolis playing soccer, Wheeler said. Then, during the first Trump administration, Wheeler became the leader of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division during a time when more than 100 bomb threats were made against Jewish community centers across the country. For more about Wheeler's story, head to InsideIndianaBusiness.com. The founder of a gluten-free line of snacks, Jennifer Weesey, is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Mark Mazurek for Inside Indiana Business Radio On Demand.